and they were wanting the parish council to make an early decision before tonight, and I said, well, that isn't possible. If you wish, I can invite him to a meeting for him to come and talk about the conditions and how he thinks they will monitor them and so forth. If you wish.
But he said that it was because we had objected to it, it was going to go to committee. But it didn't go to committee, did it?
I don't know, I've just got the planning decision. I'm not sure.
He sort of wrote a letter to you saying that because, you know, would we consider changing our minds? And I thought that was insult on injury, or injury on insult, if you know what I mean. Because I think he didn't understand that we don't want any of it at all. So I was quite surprised that he had the brass neck to say, oh well, would he change his mind because it would make it easier for us?
Isn't this where they're going to take asbestos in?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a very good idea at all.
I've had it before.
Yes. If he does go ahead, is there going to be anything in it for the village? You know, like we get the community centre building. We did promise us all sorts. Initially that tip went in, but we never received it. We did get some grants, but supposedly they were going to be giving us all sorts. But you know,
Well, those grants, those grant grants, they're available to anybody within the circle around the tip. I mean, we never got any actual special treatment, did we?
well, they offered us cheap fuel. Excuse me for that. Excuse me. For our houses. They said that, you know, the amount of methane or gas, whatever that was going to be generated on site would reduce greatly. Do you remember, Ernest? They said that when the gas was piped onto...
Yeah, my memory is very good. It's all that since, isn't it?
It is a long time ago. But they did say that we would get cheaper gas. And that never came off. So if there's anything going, we might as well have what we can out of them.
The short answer is they're not.
Oh, that's the answer.
They're not. They don't have to commit to doing that. No.
But we could get him in and...
I've tried to get them to donate to the village in different ways.
Yes.
Well, you know,
Well,
I've
they've
had
donated to
copies.
Covington and Everingham, areas around there where we've got nothing.
Give them a shopping list.
Well, if you wish, as I say, I can invite him here and you can ambush him with that at the same time.
Well, they did donate to the village quite a few years since on different projects, but I think, wasn't it run by someone else?
Yeah, church and village hall, didn't it? Church roof,
And
village
we got-
hall,
We got to have
gas.
£1,500 for putting some new windows in here.
So are we in favour of getting the guy down then and having a face-to-face?
Yeah.
Would you invite him, please?
Shall I invite him to the next meeting at 7 o'clock? So you've got half an hour in advance of the meeting?
Yeah.
We're going to make an application for grant funding.
Sorry?
On the Heritage Grant funding we're going to make an application to RED. And I spoke to Penny Bones about it, who's their rep, and I said, Thomas Bollymore feels that, you know, we really are owed something by the RED people. Maybe this is an opportunity we've been pressing for that as well.
We said that when we applied for village hall chairs and didn't get it. But yes.
Okay, we'll move on to accounts.
Yeah, there's the cheque to be confirmed and the cheque to be approved. Just a few comments on that, if I may. Peter Wiles uses his own van and we've had the tow bar fitted. And last year you agreed that you would pay the insurance on his van as a thank you or whatever for using his van. He would then maintain it and, you know, to make sure it runs well and so forth. The insurance is up again now, and he's included that in his expenses and said, is it okay? And it's less than last year by just a few pounds. And that would mean that his the cheque to him would be £609.28 because it's £131, I think. So that would be needed for approval. Steve Deere, the clerk. The insurance for Zurich, talked about that last time but haven't had to pay the cheque because we have a grace time before we pay, so that has been signed already. The East Riding for the by-election and the doggy bags, the litter bin, sorry, for the doggy bags and the doggy bag dispenser. And again, when I ordered those, I talked to the other three parish councils that have doggy bags, and they've all put in an order, and there's a couple of £300, I can't remember exactly now, that they put into Helmut Spaldingmore's account that I'll report on next time. So that will reduce that amount. Well, there's the £1,111.53 to HMR&C for the Q4 tax on the salaries, and then the copier company, there's a small bill of £94.08 for Staples, and those are the checks, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions about the accounts? Okay, we'll move on then.
Could I, sorry, just
Sorry?
butt in again if I may. A few years ago you used to be members of Earnica, and it was the increased the money to £600, £700 or so. And it was seen as a lot of money, and Chris Worrell, when he was chairman, said if the clerk was a member of the Society of Local Council Clerks, there could be a benefit in terms of information and so on from that, and it was much, much cheaper. The subs are only £149. Well, I've been a member of the Society of Local Council Clerks now for I think 2 years, and I've never had any benefit, never contacted them or anything. Beverley are a good contact. They have a Democratic Services Department who are very open to be asked questions on a legal, procedural type basis. I'm not sure whether being a member of the Society of Local Council Clerks is doing Helmut Spaldingmore Parish Council any good. So unless anybody's got any strong feelings the other way, I would suggest I back out of that.
You will get your information from somewhere else, Steve.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing that because who knows what's going to happen, but I'm fairly sure, and if necessary, I could always, I guess, join halfway through the year. Okay. Thanks, Pete.
Would you like to focus here?
Yeah, that's just moving forward. Obviously, at the end of this month, it's the end of the financial year, and at that point, I'll do all the budgets up to date. I'll do the spreadsheet so you know exactly where we finish at the year end. I'll do a heritage, not that I probably need to, but a budget finish for that, and a budget finish for the in blue, and that's the time that the VAT is claimed back as well. So all of those things will happen at the end of this month, and for the April meeting you'll have financial information for the whole financial year, and that will include the newsletter.
Okay, thank you. Home PC Heritage Project.
You've got the printout, and this really does bring us up to date. Do we need to go through it or not? Because it's all here. We got to the point where we discussed all the issues with the footpaths. We're going to have a meeting with the East Riding Council, Countryside Access, to suggest these good ideas and upgrades to the footpaths. We've also looked at for the future about incorporating some cycle routes into the leaflet when the leaflet comes to be reprinted. And there will be a leaflet upgrade at some point. We've also got a ballpark price for the panoramic boards on Church Hill, and they are going to form the basis of our next grant application. So the little piece there, the boards are going to be £3,500 to £4,000 each, but that includes design and very high quality. We're talking about something that's going to have a long life now. So we've put that in at £4,000 each board. We've also put in an automatic leaflet dispenser for the centre of the village to aid our distribution of leaflets, and also to get some money back for the leaflets as well, 50p a go. Some cheaper, smaller, simpler information boards two for the rail trail and 2 for the Market Wing Canal. We've included volunteer time because they will let you do that. So volunteer time, it'll probably be far more than that, but £5,000 seems to us to be a reasonable estimate to be working on. Sundries for upgrades of the way markers, and they'll basically be small plaques which are attached to the finger posts which give additional information to help people find their way. A few extra finger posts and a few nice finger posts in particular places. Making a total of £21,600. That is what the project, we've talked about it with our informal group of about 8 people. We've looked at it. At the moment this is purely suggestion. We're going to have another meeting before we actually go ahead on that, bang on that basis. But we are looking now at discussing this project as it stands with funders. I've already approached Ren with Penny Bowman. She's the one who gave us grant funding for the board out there. And I don't know if anybody knows John Watkin, lives down back lane. Julie Jessup's husband. Yeah, he's a good chap, is John. And he's an accountant himself. And he's going to do some fund finding for us as well. So me and John are going to go to the thing I mentioned on the 24th, I can't remember what they call it now, have your say on the waterways. We're going to that in a really short. Because we want to see how we can fit in. One of the things about Holmes is how it fits into the Market Week Canal, how we get those connections and how we make the whole thing work. So we're going to go to that, and then we're going to liaise with Gordon Shields and the Market Week Canal through a feasibility study. That's all going to be put together. It's quite a complicated thing, but when it's a little bit the simplest thing in the world, it'll mean that we will have footpaths that go in big loops all the way around, and then you can go all the way to Market Week and all the way to the River Humber. That's, in theory, what we are working towards. We're also working towards a footpath network which could be negotiated without a map at all, because the signage would be much improved. That's where we are, and as I say, anybody's comments are very welcome.
Is there much work going on at the moment?
What's that with Ernest?
With the, well, you know, these footpaths in
At the moment,
renovating the canal.
the Market Week Canal feasibility study is actually awaiting funding, and Gordon Shields has applied for funding. He went to the Big Waterways conference 2 weeks ago. There's no work, no physical work being done at all. Down at Market Week Canal, the footpath that goes down the side of the back delphi has all been ploughed away. To be 15 foot, it's been ploughed away to nothing, and it's a bit of a mess down there, to be perfectly honest with you. Carrots planted on the open access land, gate locked onto the open access land, finger post lit over like that, finger post missing. Churchill Path it's not been reinstated across the hill. Finger post missing, finger post pointing in the wrong direction, complete confusion.
Your problem.
Well, I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to take, we wanted to get this, we've taken video evidence of the difficulties in crossing the road. We used the video camera. Filmed leaving the Wyth Rail Trail onto Shipton Lane, walking back towards Gallimore, through Gallimore, over, down the side by Vicaries, and over the road to Stray Farm. And that, the whole lot, is a busy piece of road, isn't it? And there's no signpost that guide you, that tell you to be careful. There's no road signs which say beware of walkers. Nothing. And that is the recognised route to walk from Public Road Trail to Market Week. That is recognised by East Wingberkshire County. So we've got our evidence together. We've done quite a lot of work, writing an audit, filming the problem areas, filming areas that are confusing. We're taking this next month with Leslie Whiteley. We're going to take it to Leslie and Patrick Wareham, our boss. We're going to say to them, this is what we want to do, will you let us do this? Will you assist us doing this? I spoke to Patrick Wareham today actually about this, and he welcomes this initiative that we have here. So we are going to start doing some work before too long. And all this business about the improvement of the footpath network itself will not really cost anything. It's all about volunteer efforts. What's costing the money are the panoramic boards on Churchill and just bits and pieces really, the leaflet dispenser.
So, sorry, Gordon, so then, when you put volunteer time in there at £5,000, how would you generate that then?
That's off the top of the head.
Right, so where would you use volunteer time? Where
It's
do you
about
generate-
£6.73 an hour, isn't it? I don't know if it's-
So you are going to employ some people to do that then?
Volunteer time is to pay for the volunteer. No, it's working into. They probably won't pay us the volunteer time. I don't really know what they'll do.
Right,
But when we did the previous application, we were told to put a ballpark figure in for volunteer time, because that volunteer time, it does take up. The volunteers spend twice as long as that. But that gives you a bit of elbow room in your budget. I think they will pay the volunteer
so it's
time.
a bit there as a float then, really?
Yeah.
You're using that as a float?
But we will find whether or not they will pay. We don't know at the moment, but we put the float figure in there and we put it down as what it is. So if they're going to say they're not going to pay the full 5,000 quid, we will know, and it'll be 5,000 quid less.
Yeah, I see we can put it, written it out like that, it looks as though you're going to pay your volunteers, doesn't it?
No, we're not paying the volunteers.
No, but they're written right.
That money is a float, as you say.
Yeah.
It's a more an elbow room for the rest of it. But what will happen is we won't get enough funding that we require, like we had done last time, and we'll have to nip the scheme in a bit. But let's hope we do.
The leaflet dispenser, Gordon, is that in addition to the one you were talking about?
No, it's the same one.
So
We've never bought a leaflet dispenser. We wanted to buy one, we didn't, did we, if you remember?
I didn't know whether you kept some money back for it, didn't you?
Yeah, that money, Steve's still got that money. But we didn't have it, it was about £1,000, I think, left. Is that right, Steve?
I can
Is
let you
that-
know.
that's
Off the top of my head, I'm not
It's
sure.
about that, it's roughly about that.
Because it reduced, didn't it, when you were paid some money for, that you'd laid out, that money came back to you, and that reduced the amount. I thought it came down to 600. I'd need to check, I'm not sure.
Well, I think maybe when we knocked up, we took off the money we had to put in for rent, maybe that's what knocked it down.
Possibly.
But there is a bit of money, but there wasn't enough to buy a dispenser, so we didn't buy a dispenser. And we all agreed that we could market them through the post office, coffee shop and restaurants. And that's a perfectly good idea. But the dispenser means that you can do Sunday afternoon, Saturday morning, and whatever. And if it's granted, then we can get 50 pence a litre, a leaflet. If we can get a bit of income coming in on that way, that's going to be a good thing as well. And it takes away all this business about have they got the leaflets, do we have to give them some more leaflets? Do the shopkeepers have the headache of actually gathering in the money? It's just...
Yeah, are you incorporating both your leaflets together, or will there be two separate ones?
Well, this is just a simple floating of an idea. At the moment, we're going to the leaflet dispenser. If we had one now, it would take the leaflet we have. But the suggestion would be we could make the leaflet dispenser for a dedicated walking leaflet, and so with the maps on and for someone to buy and go and walk around the village. That if we produced another leaflet which was free to be given away in the pubs and cafes, that leaflet would be different, and it would have different information on it. For example, it would have some historical information on it, and it would possibly have some sponsored adverts on it as well. But that's just a suggestion at the moment.
While we're on the rights of way, Mr. Chairman, I keep getting asked, by people who use the railway, for some substantial gates and posts
I asked that question a while ago.
on the railway. Now, I can't give them an answer to say what do they put them up there for and who put them up.
I got an answer.
And I can't give them an answer.
You did, because I asked it about.
Yes, Leslie Whitehead gave us an answer on that.
What did you say?
and she
I
said
think it was to try and stop
it was
vehicle accidents.
stopping sort of bikes and cars and
I think maybe-
races, I think.
Mm.
I'll send you a copy of the email.
Yeah.
It is Ernest, and at the side there's
Yeah, I know.
there's like a board that you can either, well, you can stride through it, or horses can get across, can't they?
Yeah.
Can the horses get through?
I don't know, last time I was on there, they were only just really sort of putting them in.
Oh,
I think it's to stop tractors and trailers.
It is.
Yeah.
And if drainage board want access to go down to the funeral or whatever, they have to ask Leslie for the key. Is that all right, Steve?
Yeah, she does
And
keep
then-
the key.
Andrew Marriott from drainage board was saying, well,
Yeah.
they be able to hold the key if they make an arrangement with Leslie. And that's what it's for, to stop people taking tractors up and down the rail line.
Right, thank you, that's all.
Hot bikes and things like that.
Mm.
Conservation issues.
Well, we need to get, when Peter's up and running again, back to the pond, finish off really. Just 2 ends need tidying through.
Okay.
Did anything happen with the conservation volunteers?
Still waiting to hear from them. I've reminded him, and will remind again. Right. Is there anything from the discussion you had with David Mills?
He's going to write, well, he's offered to prune some trees back and clear the wood away, which sounded very kind of him, but he said that he would probably be better off writing a letter and making his proposal to the parish council officially, and then we could discuss it. And that was basically it really. We will
Okay.
receive some correspondence from him. And the query who owned what,
Mm.
Yes, that's it.
Right, Village in Bloom, well, it's middle of winter, almost. Not a lot happening, except that Fisher has made a planter. And it's now residing by the bus stop at the crossroads. Planted. Nice, pretty flower.
Yes, some nice
In
flowers.
what is another, otherwise a dark tone.
There's some nice flowers on.
The beds look looking good,
But
that.
they're starting to, as it warms up,
Meadowfield,
yeah,
they're really good.
things should improve. And then I'm meeting Joe and I spoke, obviously, include Peter, to discuss where we go into this year. And that's it from the in Bloom at the moment. So we'll move on to reports.
Nothing to report.
Tim,
Been here, thanks, no?
Anthony, Gordon,
No, well, Steve's been down Raglan Lane to Belleville Lane to see what all gone through in there. Well, thank you.
I've two, but I think the amalgamated is there's floods outside the roads when it's raining, cars are coming through, if it's dark I can't see it, and the splashing water all the time to past. Anybody walking by is actually getting soaked. But I was in McCall's shop this afternoon, and there's the most awful stink when you get to the bottom end. And I said, what was it? And it's a drain. And it apparently runs under the shop, into the back garden, and into the snicket at the back. So I'm wondering if it's all connected. The drains down the snicket, I think, really need sorting out to get rid of both problems. They have built that new house in the snicket, and whether the drains are still bunged up there, I wouldn't know, but we're getting floods down there, and the smell is in the McCall's shop at the bottom end.
they're not complaining.
Can
Well,
I
I
just,
think they have done this once or twice, and somebody came and did one of the drains at the back and got loads of rubbish out of it. But I think it really needs, sorting properly.
where is the flood? Is it?
The flood is, you go around the snicket,
Pit Lane.
back of McCall's, whatever they call it, the lane,
Pit Lane.
Pit Lane, and it's on the left-hand side of the road, which goes up as far as number 1 Selby Drive, covers the roads, and there's water all the way down there, and cars going through, and just splashing through it and letting people walking by.
Okay, I'll go and have a look
So
at
it
that.
could be amalgamated with the bunged up drain at McCall's.
Anne?
Yeah, the speeding buses by school. I mean, it's difficult to assess speed, isn't it? But I think there's been, you know, one or two concerns voiced about it. I did go into school and asked him, of course, if he would be willing to do anything about it, or could he contact the bus company, which is the local one in the village. But he said he wouldn't be prepared to get involved in anything like that, so it would have to be done through another source if it was
Which bus company is it, sorry?
Boulders.
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 And is this a general thing or a particular time or?
It's school times really, when the buses are going through to Market Wheaton, and I think it's a lady driver. I don't know, I've not seen it myself, I'm just bringing it to the table.
So if I just write to Boulders saying there's been some concerns
Yeah,
about speed of your buses at school time,
yeah,
it's a little bit, sorry, a bit tenuous that
yeah.
what I said.
There's not a lot we can do about it, is there, if he wasn't prepared to, you know, to say anything to them himself, but
Do you want me to write or do you want to try and get a particular information?
Can I just say something? He does complain bitterly to Mr. Bowlby about all the traffic parked outside the school, which says his buses can't get through properly.
apparently they're going through there quite fast.
Yeah, well, he complains that there's cars parked all over and it stops his buses going through. So this is maybe why it's going so fast.
Do you think if there's cars parked all over, they should slow down?
Yeah.
A letter? There's no other way, basically.
No, I think it's got to maybe be put in writing, and
Well, yeah, it's just that,
just hopefully,
almost what do I
you know,
say, because people are concerned that your buses are speeding, and he's going to say, well, when, what and how.
Appear to be speaking.
appear to be, but
No,
unless we
reminding
just
him.
ask,
You could say to him, could we write just to remind you of the,
Yeah.
to be careful driving past school, rather than accusing him.
Yeah.
and the other thing was, this was mentioned, I mean, I've not seen this myself, but there've been weed killing the edges of the where the path meets the verges, and Margaret, do you want to tell them?
It was yesterday morning when I was going out of the village. There's a line of crocuses from the bakery to the roundabout,
There is.
and the man was coming up on his quad bike all round the lamppost, but he wasn't switching it off when it was going all over the crocuses.
If they die, we'll put a...
Well, that, you know, that's what it's just.
I actually saw him on Owen Road.
Well, that is right, because last year they came up the path near us and sprayed and killed all my plants. So I complained bitterly, and I got a tub of plants which weren't bad, but they weren't good, in return, and they said they were sorry.
It's early, isn't it, for them to be coming around spray?
Thank you very much, that's exciting.
I'll put a note of the date, so we can, if the crocus do die off or don't appear, then we can write a
They're in flower.
They're in flower.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're in full bloom.
Uh-huh.
Down there, yeah.
I'll say if they die off,
Die off and don't come back next
Yeah.
year.
then
Well, if
we'll-
they've been round up, they'll die pretty quick,
Very,
won't
very
they? Sooner
quick.
than they would have
Yeah.
died off naturally.
So, I've only got one thing. I've been asked by Andrew Sapcoat, the crossing warden, if the council could possibly help the youth orchestra that he's got together with a grant to put towards the cost of some sheet music. It's needed so as not to infringe copyright laws. At the moment, somebody's got to give them a photocopy of theirs, but if they get caught, it could be extremely expensive. At the moment, the orchestra consists of 16 young people, I didn't ask for ages, and 3 adults. They would like to purchase 2 sets of music. The cost of that will be £100. And they need hooker sheets so they can play in Tesco to raise funds. If they get caught with a copy, it could be very, very serious. So I don't know how we feel about that.
Which youth orchestra is this?
I saw them at All Saints in Wheaton last year. It was a whole group then.
something from the village?
Some of the kids are.
They actually come in here to practice
Yeah.
on a Sunday afternoon.
I think Andrew's aware that there's, various monies available from the parochial charity. He was once wanting an instrument, but he didn't actually put the application in. I mean, maybe are we in a position as a parish council to offer him any money, or should we send him for an educational grant to the parochial charity?
I don't know. I
Make the suggestion that it is a worthy thing and it's an educational thing, isn't it?
Education.
Definitely. I think they would look at that kindly.
I think so.
how often does that charity meet?
Well, they have ways of sort of gathering
Oh, yeah.
information, so
Who should he approach then?
if he writes to the clerk, Sheila's the
Wait, right, my wife.
Okay.
Have you saw that?
Yeah. I did point out also to Andrew that if it became an accredited youth organisation, that you might
Yeah,
help
we can certainly get them accredited, we'll look at getting them accredited, yeah.
and look at outside funding anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These so I can give positive activity grants, and that is for young people.
Yeah.
And this, I would guess, would fit it to a T.
Okay, I will get back to him. Correspondence then?
Well, there was a grant application from Citizens of Riceborough, which I sent out with the agendas.
Mm-hmm.
They basically are saying that they've got a shortfall, they calculate that they've got a shortfall for homeless Bollymore residents of £395. And I think that was on the information I sent them.
But personally, I think that this is an advice that it's available for the villages is an excellent thing. I think any person should have access to advice. I think that is one thing that would be a sad loss.
They used to actually come into the doctor's surgery and have meetings there with people. You could have an appointment, but people find it ever so difficult to get through to them. I think you've got to go to them through to Google, haven't you, to get them. And I don't think people find it really easy getting appointments. So whether or not they're dealing with people, in the towns rather than the rural areas. If they were coming into the village, it would be good, but that facility is not available now to us, I don't think.
Right.
We usually hear from them each year, don't we? Oh, we've heard from them before on numerous occasions asking, haven't we, for funding.
What would happen if they didn't get it?
We've never given them anything in the past,
They never give them anything.
No.
They would continue then, even if we didn't give them this.
Continue with the same.
Well, I think anyone who's in trouble, it would only be an odd person be in trouble, but if they can go there and it really does give them help, I think it's an excellent thing.
Mm.
I would hate to see it fail.
But you say we've never given them any money before?
I don't remember that any said
I
it
don't
all.
think so, I need to
No,
double check with that.
Will this be like a blanket letter that was sent to everybody?
Well, it's blanket in general, and then they specify the amounts, that they calculate. Because they calculate the cost of providing our service to the population of homeless Bollymore is £2,377 a year. Don't know how they work that out because, as Anne says, they don't come to the village, so I'm not too sure how it's calculated. But they work out an amount, they get money from the East Riding, and they say the shortfall is 395. They'll then write to Budworth in a similar way and say the shortfall is, and so on, yes.
It says what the council may be able to reduce this shortfall, so we can't trust the levy to make it.
I don't know how we say it, just say that.
So I'm going to take advice on
Go and talk now.
it. Give them a ring. Let's see if we can get through. So, yeah.
Might not be been made.
You rang your solicitor, how much would it cost?
So we're just going to let that one lie.
Yeah, right.
Okay. local council award scheme?
Yeah, I mean, just to tell you, if you recall, the Quality Council scheme has changed, and we've now got a certificate that we got because we were Quality Council, saying that we're a foundation council in terms of the new scheme, and there'll be information coming, and you can make the decision whether you want to go forward for the new scheme for higher levels of it, which I haven't got it yet. And the East Riding Parish News, which I think I've emailed it all to you. Clerk and Council's direct. If anybody wants that, please ask. And I've had something from BT saying adopt a kiosk for £1. So I think they're writing out to everybody to try and clear as many red telephone boxes as possible. We obviously don't want rid of any other boxes. So that's that.
What was in the phone box then?
Don't know, once we get it, then you talk about moving it to the village green, I think.
Well, we're going to refurnish it and then hopefully make it an information centre on the green.
So will we have 2 phone boxes there then?
On working,
Yeah.
usable.
It may be that in the fullness of time, if the actual telephone box becomes redundant and that goes, you then wouldn't have any telephone boxes, but you would have the red box that you could use as a library or whatever you wanted to use it as. I have got a note on my calendar, I think next month, to talk to British Telecom in Liverpool to find out the usage of the current one on the village green, because you asked me to do that this time-ish last year. And finally, it's the village task force walkabout, when the East Riding guy called Jim McGibbon comes out with other officers from the East Riding to look at the village and potential problems of, sort of potholes and odds and ends that need doing, and they get them repaired over the summer when they're in the village. And that walkabout is on Tuesday the 30th of June at 9:45. If anybody would like to volunteer to accompany Jim.
I went last time.
Thank you, Hannah.
By Annie, wasn't it? Oh.
I'll like send you. I'll write to you if you could put it in your diary. Sorry. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for attending the meeting. The next meeting will be here on Wednesday the 15th of April. And I'm sorry to say I won't be with you.
Why not?
Well, when my best, we're going over here.
We'll let you off then. Oh dear. Oh dear, Helen.